Jun Park had learned that silence meant different things in space. Sometimes it meant safety. Sometimes it meant death. On the research station drifting above the red dwarf star, silence meant waiting. June stood beside Mira Kale in a wide corridor made of dark metal and pale light. The walls curved like the inside of a shell. Symbols glowed and faded as alien crews passed by. The air smelled clean and sharp, filtered through systems older than most human cities. Myra walked with quick steps, her hands folded behind her, back the way her people did when nervous. Her eyes shifted often, watching guards, doors, and floating screens. "You should not wander alone here," she said. Jun smiled lightly. "I'm not alone. I'm with you. That is what worries my sister." Myra said. Chun had heard about Eric Kale many times. Older sister, security officer, strong believer in rules. Mira spoke of her with respect and fear, like one would speak of a storm that always came on time. Chun was a human exchange engineer. His job was simple on paper. He observed alien systems. He shared human methods. He learned how others lived. He had trained for danger, for pressure, and for fear. He had not trained for being judged without trial. They reached a wide doorway. 2 guards stood there, tall and still. Their armor was smooth and dark, with faint red lines running across it. When Myra stopped, they stepped forward at once. One of them spoke. "Myra Kale, you are cleared." "The human is not." Jun raised his hands slowly, palms open. "I'm registered," he said. "Human Council Seal, Level 3. The guard tilted its head. "That seal is under review." Mira turned sharply. "By whose order?" A new voice answered from behind them. "By mine." Jun turned. Era Kale stood a few steps away. She was taller than Mira, her posture straight and unmoving. Her uniform marked her as security command. Her eyes were calm, cold, and focused, like someone watching a tool instead of a person. "Jun Park," Era said. "Human." "Yes," Jun replied. "That's me." Era studied him in silence. Her gaze moved from his face to his hands, to his breathing, to the small signs of life humans showed when thinking. "You walk freely," she said. "You ask questions. You look at systems without permission." "I'm an engineer," Jun said. "That's how we learn." "That is how you disrupt," Era replied. Mira stepped forward. "Sister, he has done nothing wrong. He follows station law." Era did not look at her. Station law was not written for humans. Jun felt the air grow heavier. He had seen this before, on other worlds. Fear did not always come with anger. Sometimes it came with calm rules and locked doors. What exactly is the problem? Jun asked. Era finally met his eyes. "Your species adapts too quickly. You question structure. You break patterns. Civilizations like mine survive through balance, through control." Jun nodded slowly. Humans survive through change. That was the wrong answer. Era lifted her hand. The guards moved at once. Mira gasped. "Era, wait." Era spoke without emotion. "Jun Park is placed under containment for observation. Temporary. He will not be harmed." Jun did not resist as the guards closed in. He had learned long ago that panic helped no one. He walked when they guided him, even when Mira called his name. "I'll be fine," he said to her. "Stay calm." The corridor doors slid shut behind them. They led him through quiet halls until they reached a single sealed room. The walls were smooth and pale. A wide window looked out into space, where the red dwarf burned like a watching eye. The guard stepped back. Era entered last. "This room will adjust to your needs," she said. "Air, temperature, light, food, and freedom?" Jun asked. Era paused. "No." The door began to close. Hera looked at him one last time. "You are under my authority now," she said. "You are mine." The door sealed with a low sound. John was alone. For several seconds, he did nothing. And he let out a slow breath. He walked around the room, touching nothing, only looking. He noted the corners, the faint hum in the walls, the way the lights adjusted when he moved. This was not a prison built for punishment. It was a room built for study. "They're afraid," he said softly to himself. John sat on the low bench near the window and looked at the star. Humanity had faced cages before. Orders, laws, names given by others. Owned. He smiled faintly. Outside the room, Hera stood watching through a screen. She expected anger, shouting, demands. Instead, the human sat quietly, observing. That made her uneasy. To Hera, humans were a risk, a variable that did not obey history. Species rose and fell in patterns. Humans did not follow patterns. They bent them. She watched John stand, test the light, then sit again. No threat, no weakness. Myra approached her from behind. "You did not need to do this," she said. Hera replied. "I did." "For safety?" Myra asked. "For control," Hera said. Myra looked at the screen. John noticed her and raised a hand in greeting. Myra felt something tighten in her chest. Hera turned away. She told herself this was duty. That containment was better than conflict. But as the red star burned beyond the glass, and the human waited without fear, Hera began to wonder if control was already slipping from her grasp. Time moved slowly inside the sealed room. John Park measured it without clocks. He counted breaths. He watched the light shift its tone. He listened to the low sound in the walls and learned its rhythm. Every system spoke if one listened long enough. Food arrived through a smooth opening in the wall. It was warm and simple. John ate calmly. He made sure to leave nothing scattered. Small habits mattered when you were being watched. He knew he was being watched. Hera Kale stood in the security control room, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the screen that showed John from 3 angles. Her officers waited behind her, silent. "He shows no distress," one officer said. Hera answered. "That does not mean he feels none. He has made no requests." That is also a concern. Hera had expected anger. Humans were known for it. Loud voices, sharp words. Instead, John walked, sat, observed, and waited. It was not submission. It was something else. Inside the room, June spoke softly to the empty air. "Okay, let's see what you can do." He stood near the wall and waved his hand slowly. The lights reacted with a small delay. He smiled. Visual sensors, he guessed. Not motion-based. Interesting. He did not touch the wall, but he leaned close. The hum changed slightly. Power flow. He listened. John had learned on Earth that fear made people stupid. Calm made them creative. He began to think. Outside, Mira Kale paced a narrow corridor. She tried to request a meeting. She tried to send a message. Each time, the system denied her. She finally went to her sister. "Hera," Mira said. "You said this was observation. Then let me speak to him." Hera did not look away from the screen. "Not yet." "Why?" "Because humans use words to change minds." Myra frowned. "Is that not what thinking beings do?" Hera turned slowly. "Humans do it faster." Myra said nothing. She looked at the screen. John was sitting on the floor now, his back against the wall. Eyes closed. "He looks peaceful," Myra said. "That is a mask," Hera replied, though her voice lacked certainty. Inside the room, John was not sleeping. He was remembering. He remembered stories of human explorers trapped under ice, lost at sea, sealed underground. They survived by planning, by sharing. By refusing to panic. He opened his eyes and spoke clearly. "Hello," he said. The room did not answer, but he knew the microphones were active. "My name is Jun Park. I am human. I am not dangerous." He paused, not by choice. In the control room, an officer glanced at Era. "He is addressing us." Era nodded. "Record everything." Jun continued. "I know why I'm here. You think I break rules. You think I bring chaos." He stood and faced the hidden cameras. "Humans don't hate rules. We hate rules that don't change when they fail." Era felt a small tension in her chest. Jun walked slowly across the room. "Your station runs on systems made long ago. Strong systems. Careful systems." He stopped near the window. The red star filled the glass, but no system lasts forever without change. Era leaned closer to the screen. Jun turned slightly, his face half-lit by red light. "You locked me in here to control risk. I understand that. Humans do the same when we're afraid." He looked directly at the camera. "But fear doesn't remove risk. It just hides it." Silence followed. Era said nothing. Minutes passed. Then Jun sat again. He waited. Era turned away from the screen. Her thoughts were not calm. She had studied human history. Wars, collapses, recoveries. Humans always returned stronger. That pattern disturbed. Her doubt and alert chimed softly. Minor power fluctuation in outer. "Ring," an officer said. Era nodded. "Stabilize." Inside the room, Jun felt the change before the alert sounded. The hum shifted. The light flickered once. He smiled faintly. "Old wiring," he whispered. He stood and walked to the wall again. This time he spoke louder. "You're losing efficiency in Section 3, he said. "It's small now." "It won't stay small." Era froze. "How does he know?" An officer asked. Era's eyes narrowed. "Humans notice patterns others ignore." Jun rested his palm against the wall. The surface warmed slightly under his hand. He did not push. He did not force. "Relax," he said calmly. "I'm not breaking anything." Era's fingers curled slowly. She opened a channel. "Human," she said. Jun looked up at once. "Yes, you are not authorized to access station diagnostics." Jun nodded. "I know, I'm just listening. That is still access." Jun smiled, not mocking, but gentle. "Then maybe your definition of access needs updating." Era closed the channel. Her officers watched her carefully. "He is manipulating you," one said. Era replied. "He is teaching." That frightened her more. Myra finally received a brief signal. A maintenance ping. Weak, hidden. Chun's voice came through, low and steady. "I'm okay," he said. "Don't fight them. Watch. Learn." Myra swallowed hard. Outside the room, Era stood alone later, staring through the glass directly. Not through a screen. June noticed her and stood. They faced each other through the barrier. "You could have resisted," Era said. Jun shook his head. "That would prove you right. You could have begged." "That would also prove you right." Era studied him. "What do you want?" Jun answered simply. "To help. And to leave when you understand that help is not weakness." Era said nothing. For the first time since the door had closed, doubt settled into her thoughts. Humans did not need cages to survive. Sometimes cages revealed who was truly trapped. The station did not sleep, but its people did. Lights dimmed in long cycles. Corridors grew quiet. Machines continued their steady work, unaware of doubt, fear, or pride. Jun Park noticed the change at once. The hum in the walls deepened. Power flow shifted again, this time longer, heavier. Something was building. He stood near the window, watching the red star pulse slowly. Its light was steady, but not calm. Red dwarfs were known for sudden anger. Not tonight. John murmured. Elsewhere on the station, Era Kale sat alone in her office. She had dismissed her officers earlier than usual. She needed silence to think. On her screen, human records scrolled past. Survival reports. Disaster responses. Small groups lasting against impossible odds. One phrase repeated in many. Languages. Adapt or fail. Era closed the file. Her sister's voice echoed in her. Thoughts. He is not your enemy. Era stood and walked toward the observation wing. At the same time, Mara Kale moved through a maintenance corridor with careful steps. She held a small data tool close to her chest. Her hands trembled. She had never broken rules before. But humans changed rules simply by existing. Myra stopped at a junction and sent a brief signal. Jun felt it at once. A soft vibration in the wall. He smiled. Myra, he whispered. The message was short. Power systems unstable. Era unsure. Be careful. Jun closed his eyes. Good, he said quietly. She's thinking. In the control sector, warning lights flickered. Not alarms. Not yet. Minor instability in the outer ring. Then another. Era entered the room as officers spoke at once. Energy. Drift detected. Stellar interference rising. Era raised a hand. Status? Within limits, one officer said. For now. Era's gaze shifted to the screen showing Chun's room. He was standing again, focused. Alert. Open a channel. Era said. Chun heard the click. Yes, he said before she spoke. You sense the instability. Era said. Chun nodded. Your station is old, strong, but it wasn't built for stars like this. Our data shows acceptable margins, Era replied. June smiled faintly. Human history is full of acceptable margins that failed. Era's jaw tightened. You enjoy challenging authority. No, Jun said. I enjoy preventing disasters. Silence followed. Then Era said, Explain. Jun walked slowly, choosing his words. Your systems rely on balance. They resist change. That works until the environment changes faster than the system can adjust. And humans? Era asked. We assume things will break, Jun replied. So we plan for that. Era looked at the rising warnings. Another officer spoke. Outer ring power loss increasing. Era felt the station shift slightly under her feet. Not dangerous yet, but real. She opened the channel again. What would you do? Jun answered at once. I'd reroute. I'd overload one section on purpose to save the rest. Gasps filled the room. That violates containment law, an officer said. It violates pride, Jun replied calmly. Not physics. Era closed her eyes briefly. Saw two paths. One followed rules written long ago. Other trusted a human locked behind glass. Another tremor ran through the station. Era opened her eyes. Prepare. Limited release, she said. Mira felt her breath catch. As the order echoed through systems. Chun heard the door unlock. Fully. Enough. Era stood outside the room as the barrier slid open partway. You have one chance, she said. You act under my authority. Jun stepped forward. That's fine. He paused. But understand something. Era watched him closely. Humans don't work well as tools. She nodded once. Understood. They moved together through the corridor. Officers watched, tense. Alert. Jun spoke quickly as they walked. The star's activity is causing harmonic feedback. Your dampeners can't adjust fast enough. Era followed every word. You need chaos, Jun said. Controlled chaos. That is a contradiction, an officer said. Jun shook his head. It's a human specialty. They reached the power control hub. Lights flashed now. Real alarms. Chun moved without hesitation. He pointed, directed, explained. Cut that line. Redirect. There. Now wait. Era watched as humans would during storms or fires. Calm because things were safe. Calm because panic wasted. Time. The station shuddered hard. Myra grabbed a rail. Jun slammed his hand on the console. Now! Era gave the order. Power surged. One section went dark. Then the alarms fell silent. The hum returned to a steady tone. The station held. For several seconds, no one spoke. Then an officer whispered. Stability restored. Era turned slowly toward Jun. He leaned against the console, breathing hard, smiling like someone who had just outrun death. You risked everything, Era said. Jun nodded. So did you. She studied him. You could have escaped. I could have, Jun agreed. But then you'd never trust humans again. Era felt something shift inside her. Not fear. Respect. She looked at her sister. Myra's eyes were bright with relief. Era faced Jun. You are still under observation, she said. Jun smiled. Fair. But the word mine no longer felt the same to Era. The human had not taken power. He had shared it. And that changed everything. The station moved again, not with fear this time, but with recovery. Systems came back online one by one. Lights steadied. The deep hum of power returned to a calm flow. Jun Park watched the panels as numbers settled into safe ranges. He wiped his hands on his jacket and stepped back. It should hold, he said. Era Kale did not answer at once. She was still watching the data. Her mind replayed the moment she had given the order. The moment she had trusted a human. Nothing in her training had prepared her for that. Return the dark section slowly. Jun added, Too fast and you'll shock the system. Era nodded and repeated the command. The officers followed without hesitation. Now. Myra stood near the doorway, her hands pressed together. When the lights fully returned, she let out a shaky breath. The danger had passed, but something else had begun. Ira turned to Jun. You will return to the observation room, she said. Jun met her eyes. I expected that. Her officers looked surprised, but Jun did not resist as guards escorted him back through the corridor. The door sealed again behind him, but this time the sound felt different, not final. Era watched from the other side of the glass. Jun sat down calm, as if the room belonged to him now. You saved the station, Mira said quietly. Era replied, He endangered it first. Mira looked at her. No, the star did. Era said nothing. Hours passed. Reports flowed in from across the station. Damage was limited. Losses were small. The human solution had worked. Era stood alone again in her office, staring at the words on the screen. Stability restored by human intervention. The phrase bothered her. She opened a secure channel. Jun Park, she said. Yes. Jun answered at once. You could have failed. Yes, he said. You could have run. Yes. Why didn't you? Jun was quiet for a moment. Because running doesn't fix things. And because your people would have blamed themselves. Era frowned. You care what we think? Jun smiled softly. Humans care about how history remembers us. Era closed the channel. She leaned back and stared at the ceiling. Her people believed in control, because control meant survival. But today, control had nearly destroyed them. She stood abruptly and returned to the observation wing. This time, she entered the room. The door slid open, and Jun looked up. Surprised. You're not supposed to be in here, he said. Era stepped inside anyway. This is my station. Jun nodded. Then welcome. They stood in silence for a moment. You challenged my authority, Era said. Jun shook his head. No, I challenged your fear. Era studied him closely. You are dangerous. Jun smiled. So are stars. Era almost laughed. Almost. She walked to the window and looked out at the red glow. My people believe ownership means responsibility. When I said you were mine, I meant that your actions were my burden. Jun joined her at the window. Humans understand responsibility too. We just don't mix it with ownership. Era turned to him. You refuse to submit. Jun answered simply. We refuse to disappear. That answer stayed with her. Later, Mira joined them. She looked from one to the other, sensing the shift. You're not fighting, she said. Era replied. Not yet. Jun chuckled quietly. The station received a signal from the council worlds. An inquiry. Questions. Demands for explanation. Era prepared her response. She did not hide the truth. She stated clearly that a human had saved the station. That choice shocked her officers. Your reputation. One began. Era raised a hand. My reputation is less important than survival. In the observation room, June rested on the bench, watching data scroll across a floating display. He was allowed access now. Limited, but real. Mira sat beside him. My sister is changing, she said. June nodded. So is the station. Mira smiled faintly. So are you? Jun thought for a moment. No, humans don't change much under pressure. We just show who we really are. Alarms did not sound again, but tension remained. The council response came faster than expected. Containment orders. Human restrictions. Era. Read them in silence. Then she closed the file. She walked to Chun's room and opened the door fully. You are no longer confined, she said. Chun stood. Thank you. This does not mean trust, Era added. Chun smiled. Trust comes later. Era studied him. You will speak before the council. With me. Jun raised an eyebrow. That's brave, Era replied. So is surviving. As they walked through the corridor together, officers stepped aside, not because Jun was owned, but because he had been proven. The station moved onward through space, carrying with it a truth older civilizations feared. Humans did not need permission to matter. They simply did. The council chamber was older than the station. Its walls were wide and smooth, marked by symbols from many worlds. Light fell from above like a quiet sky. Voices echoed easily there, so most speakers kept their tone calm. John Park stood beside Era Kale at the center platform. He wore no uniform, just his simple human clothes. He stood straight, hands relaxed at his sides. Era felt the attention of the chamber settle on them. You may speak. A council voice said. Era stepped forward first. The station survived a stellar surge due to a human response, she said. Containment failed. Adaptation succeeded. Those sounds moved through the chamber. A council member asked, why was the human confined? Era did not hide. Because I feared loss of control. Another voice followed. And do you still? Era paused. Chun felt the weight of the moment. He did not interrupt. Era answered, I fear stagnation more. The chamber grew quiet. A tall council figure turned toward Jun. Human, you were confined. You were called owned. Do you claim harm? Jun shook his head. No. Murmurs rose. Explain, the council said. Jun spoke slowly, choosing simple words. Fear makes people act small. That's not a crime. It's a lesson. A council member replied, you excuse confinement? Jun smiled gently. No, I explain it. Era watched him closely. Jun continued. Humans have been confined many times. By walls. By laws. By ideas. We survived by learning, not by breaking everything. Yet you broke protocol. the council said. Yes, John agreed. Because the protocol was breaking you. Silence followed. Myra watched from the outer ring, her heart racing. The council spoke again. What do humans seek? John thought for a moment. To live, to matter, to choose, and ownership? John looked at Era, then back at the council. Humans don't belong to others, but we choose who we stand with. Era felt something ease in her chest. The council withdrew for private discussion. Minutes passed. John stood quietly. He did not pace. He did not speak. Era finally said, You could have accused me. John replied, That would close doors. Not open them. Era nodded. You protect even those who cage you. John smiled. We try. The council returned. The human presence will not be restricted, the voice declared. Observation will continue by consent. Era let out a slow breath. And the station? Authority remains, the council said, with revised protocols. John felt relief spread through him. The chamber dismissed them. Later, the station moved quietly through space once more. John stood by the same window where he had once been confined. The door behind him remained open. Era joined him. When I said you were mine, she said, I believed strength came from holding tightly. John looked at the star beyond the glass. Strength comes from letting go at the right time. Era nodded. I was wrong. John shrugged lightly. So was I once. Mira entered the room, smiling freely now. You're leaving soon, she said. John nodded. Another station. Another problem. Era asked, Will humans return? John smiled. We always do. Era considered that. She extended her hand in the way her people did when offering respect. John accepted it. You were never mine, Era said. But you changed what I protect. John replied. That's enough. As John prepared to depart, the station crew watched him pass, not as a threat, not as property, but as a human. The red dwarf burned steadily behind them, and somewhere in the long memory of the station, a lesson remained. Humans could be confined. They could be feared, but they could not be owned. They endured. They adapted. And when given even the smallest chance, they chose to stand with others rather than above them.